Personally, I don't think I've seen much racial or ethnic stereotyping in my work. Uh, with recruitment, it's all about just talking to all students of all backgrounds and ethnicities and uh, income, socioeconomic backgrounds, everything. So I don't think there's a lot of division in the work that I do. Pop culture will a lot of time showcase certain races or certain ethnic backgrounds to be more violent or to be a certain type of character or person. And I think the media does a fairly good job of kind of evening that out. I will say the lack of coverage of certain backgrounds is pretty shocking because all stories of all people should be told. And cutting out some of those stories just because they're not the stories of you and your community or your beliefs is not ethical in any way. And I think countering that would just be, again, showcasing that there's more than one point of view and more than one perspective that we have in this world, whether it be ethnicity based, race based, which actually race is a made up construct of society, but ethnic based, socioeconomic based, no matter what kind of resources you grow up with, you have your own story to tell. With racial discrimination in news media, I think it's a little bit more prevalent because certain stories are covered and focused on more than others. And that can be said for a variety of news stories, but specifically ones regarding ethnicity and racial backgrounds. Certain communities are highlighted in a different light or talked about in a different light with using different words, different vocabulary, and just the way they're described versus other communities. And spelling it out, it's usually obviously kind of white neighborhoods versus black neighborhoods or Latino based neighborhoods. And there's always a different vibe in how the news is covered with all of those. And I don't think that's always the most professional route. There is a different vibe in all of those neighborhoods. There's different people and different cultures mixed in. So there's going to be different stories, but I think covering those stories in a different way every time it might not always be the best practice. At the end of the day, if you're going to be a journalist, you got to tell the story. You got to tell it right. You have to get all the facts. You have to make sure what you're telling is truthful. You have to talk to everybody in the situation and get everybody's side and 2 cents on it, and then build your story from all the information. You can't only take 50% of the information and make 100% of a story. So people from different backgrounds, they have good perspective on some of those communities, but they need to learn perspective of the other communities before they can tell their story. When it comes to either hiring more diversity or hiring the right people, um, I think they can be kind of one and the same. Some people are scared to hire people from different backgrounds because either they don't think they know enough or they know too much. And if somebody knows too much, you don't want them around because you think they're going to overtake you or overstep you. And if you don't think somebody knows enough, then you just don't think they're good enough. So knowing that just because they know something different doesn't mean it's less or more than what you know all the time. It's just something different. And so when it goes into hiring diversity or things like that, I agree that there needs to be a variety of perspectives and a variety of people. That doesn't always relate to race. Diversity is more than just race and ethnicity. There's obviously sexual orientation, socioeconomic background, but just diversity of thought in the first place, diversity of experience. Um, my life is very different from my brother's life, and that's just a very simple example. We're diverse in our own way, but we're still brothers, and we're still very similar people in the same way. So diversity is not limited to simply ethnic backgrounds, which a lot of people think of as diversity, and I think that's probably the more key message to get across, and then that comes with finding the best people to tell the right stories. Meeting new people, meeting people of different cultures, meeting people's different neighborhood, different backgrounds, different experiences. Again, picking people's brains who you don't understand, you don't know, and learning about what they know. Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's scary and it's going to destroy you or it's bad. It just means you have to take the time to get to know it. And it doesn't mean it's more, it's less. It's just a thing you got to figure out. Again, just do your homework. Go talk to people. Get to know them. Like, understand their perspective. Show them your perspective, so you can mix ideas and be open and transparent and truthful. Don't hold anything back. Don't harbor uh, like prejudiced thoughts. Prejudice is around to give us simplicity in the world, so it helps us feel more comfortable with everything that's around us because we don't understand everything. So we make something up, and we're like, oh, okay, we kind of understand this based off of our pre-ideas and prejudiced thoughts. But the courage to jump over that prejudiced thought and find out if it's actually true or not is what true journalists do and what true people do. There's a lot of ways to eliminate racial and stereotyping, prejudiced thoughts. Again, I think it's just having the courage to know that your assumption isn't true, and you have to find out if your assumption is true or not. It's not a bad thing to have prejudiced thoughts. It's a bad thing to think that they're true and base your life off of them. If you have prejudiced thought, that's fine. Go past it, move beyond that barricade, and find out, okay, is my thought true, or is it a little bit different from what I thought? Because 99.99% of the time, it's going to be a little bit different from what you thought, even just by a hair.